So this is the course sort of website, if you will, or blog site for Rhetoric, Play, and Games, which is a W350 class, Advanced Expository Writing class at Indiana University. And the class itself is designed to explore certain types of exposition, different types of exposition, I should say, and what those writing practices look like in a myriad of forms and media to a certain extent. But our class is on games, on video games. And so what we're going to do is not only read about games and read scholarly work on games, we're going to play games, because to be able to write about games, you have to play games. But more importantly, and I think this is where this class gets interesting, is that the class itself is designed as a game. It's not designed just as any game, it's modeled off a very specific game, but it's important to understand that as you come into the class up front, that you realize that this class is itself modeled as a game. And so the ways in which you'll progress through this class and the kinds of outcomes and goals that you're going to try and strive for may sit just adjacent of, if not sort of out of alignment with, more traditional courses that you're used to. So if you come in looking for a very traditional class experience, this one's not it. However, if you're sort of open to playing around with the ways in which we think about learning and development and engagement, then this class might be for you. Now, the class structure is a bit complex, and so I'll try and explain in video form and writing form at different key points, sort of the expectations, the purpose of certain sort of guidelines, how the rules work, how the engagements with the class should work. But overall, it's important to realize that this class is a game, and so you want to treat it as such. It's a game that you're going to have to learn how to play. Now, one way to help you move along that process a little bit quicker is to spend time playing Forge of Empires. This is an online web-based game. It's free to play, and it's our course shared artifact. Typically, each time I teach a games class, we choose one course game that everyone needs to play so we can have a touchstone to talk about certain kinds of gaming concepts in relationship to our course artifact. So everyone's going to play Forge of Empires. I chose this game because it's got a relatively low learning curve in terms of ability to play. It's a clicker game, so it's not like it's going to require sort of massive technologies to make go and run. And because it's web-based and also tablet, you can play it on certain tablet devices. It's relatively accessible for everyone in class. And we'll work through that. But it's important that you realize that the Forge of Empires is not just a game we're going to play, but that its structure is sort of borrowed to model, if you will, our own pedagogical practices in this class, meaning that a lot of the overall flow and design of the class is built off of an abstracted representation of the ways in which Forge of Empires structures its own progression model. So I know it seems a little bit confusing up front, and it may take a while for you to understand, but once you get into playing Forge of Empires and start progressing through our class in similar fashion, I think the similarities are going to become obvious, if not overt, and help sort of reinforce the kind of procedural structures we're borrowing from. And then later, as we get towards the end of class, we'll sort of turn our critique back to the class design itself and talk about, does this work? Is it okay? How does this function in relationship to larger sort of learning principles, writing practices, cultural and social engagement, rhetorical structures, and so on and so forth. So I'm looking forward to spending time not only talking about how this game works with you all, but to engaging with you in your thinking and your writing around games and around this particular game structure.